I have to say, it's interesting. I think that there's a little bit of a rap that video games get sometimes. I mean, if anything, the thought is maybe they actually will cause some of these disorders, right? Maybe they lead more to ADHD or lead more to being distracted or having difficulty multitasking. But you think differently.
I mean, I think that is all possible, right? I mean, with good there comes bad. It's just how nature works. But because those things can lead to negative effects, we have to flip it around and say they are a strong behavioral influencer, and maybe we could do good with them. And what we're gonna show you now is a game that I first designed 8 years ago as a research study at UCSF, and we built this game called NeuroRacer where you drive a car and respond to signs. It was a multitasking game, and I had the hypothesis that if you challenge the brain on multitasking, because it's something that we don't do very well, you can see improvements in other aspects of what we call cognitive control, attention and working memory. And so we did a big study over several years showing that we could take healthy older adults and improve not just their performance on the game in terms of multitasking, but other abilities that we tested using different measures, attention and memory. And then we formed the company Achille, which licensed the technology from UCSF, and they've worked for years to build this game that you're going to see now, which uses the same engine, the adaptive challenge in multitasking, but is a way better game. And Achille has the goal of taking this all the way into the world of medicine. Maybe tech medicine, is an interesting term. And the idea that we can run this game through the same type of clinical trial that we would do for a drug or device is really interesting. The FDA is very excited about this. We actually launched with this particular game a full multi-site FDA approval trial for this to be a therapeutic treatment for children with ADHD. We also have trials in PTSD and traumatic brain injury, depression, early Alzheimer's disease, both diagnostically and therapeutically. So you're going to take a look at this game. This game is actually in testing right now. You'll see Sanjay playing. You'll see the same elements of multitasking challenge that I described to you in NeuroRacer, but in a way better interface and on a higher level game. And so Sanjay's going to try to do 2 tasks at the same time. And
I'm the healthy older adult.
Healthy older adult.
Yes, thank you.
And the idea is that if you challenge yourself in this way over time, you could see benefits in other aspects of attention. And can this help kids with ADHD and adults with Alzheimer's? So,
before I play this, let me just ask you, because I think a headline that a lot of people read recently revolved around lumosity and that sort of brain training. You've mentioned this already, but the idea of clinical trials here, what happened, do you think, with something like lumosity, and how is this different?
There's 2 big differences or 2 big issues that we're all struggling with as academics and also on the industry side. The first is, I believe that if you are going to change the brain, even though it's plastic, it still has this homeostasis, this stability. So you have to really be immersed and engaged, just like if you were in a physical fitness program. So the first is that you have to build and develop really high-end interactive experiences, and that's why we work with professionals in the video game industry. The second part is you have to actually show it works. Right? Just because our brains are plastic doesn't mean that every challenge you're going to do is going to have a meaningful and a sustainable impact on you. And so we are in, this game is not available. You can't buy it. You can't download it in the store, in an app store. It is in clinical trial. And if it doesn't work, we will reformulate and try it again, just like the pharmaceutical industry has showed us. So we need to have high-level development and high-level validation if we're going to move something from the entertainment domain into the world of medicine and even education.
For the purposes of this conference, can you give us any insights into what some of the early results have been? Are you in the process of validating or still confirming?
Yeah, the pilot data on ADHD was incredibly exciting. We were hitting endpoints similar to what you see in drug trials, and so that's what encouraged us to apply to the FDA and start that trial. We also have positive data in depression, in early studies in traumatic brain injury, as well as in Alzheimer's disease as a diagnostic tool to use the sensitivity of the game to pick up early indicators of cognitive decline.
And so this would involve what? If I were somebody who is prescribed this, and by the way, we can't show them the screen right now, is that right?
Yeah, the audience will be able to
see us playing, but you can't see the screen because it's still proprietary.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to show the audience and live stream it, but so they'll be able to see you. Play.
If you, doctor, prescribed this to me, I would have this on my iPad or something like this?
Yeah, the idea is that this could be a prescription. Instead of a doctor pulling out a prescription pad and only writing down drugs, the idea would be that you could prescribe 6 weeks of iPad play and be able to monitor that remotely.
So I'm going to go ahead and start going through this. I think let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and start playing here in a second. If I can get this to work, should I go?
Yep. Let's.
All right.
Bring it up. There we go.
Go ahead and we can. All right, play. This is what it looks like. Maybe you can talk through what I'm.
Okay, so the same idea that was, it'll start, and then it's going to tell you this way. You have to pay attention to what the challenge is. So there's two challenges here. Sanjay is going to be navigating using the accelerometer on a stream and trying to go over these power tabs. You'll see that. But he also has to respond rapidly and accurately only to the green monster and not the others. So this is the game that's in the ADHD trial. So you could see it takes a lot of attention to navigate, and then he's responding successfully. We got 3 in a row there. So he held a response there. Now what's happening is both of those tasks are independently adaptive. So you could see as he goes faster, as he gets better, it goes faster, the fish and come up more rapidly, and he is trying to earn these stars. And what the game algorithm is doing is trying to drive him to multitask in this moment, because we have shown in other experiments that this is what leads to the improvement outside of the game. If we had the same game in single task mode, we show that that doesn't lead to the improvement. The active ingredient in this game is pushing the brain in this way. You're doing really well. You already have 1 star.
I do. Okay. Well, so what does that mean? Is my
that's
good brain? Good
yeah,
brain?
that's really fast. Also, the game is set to his ability at baseline, so you get a diagnostic that puts it right in your comfortable space to play. And then over weeks of play, it constantly pushes you. And the challenges that he's having go up and up. So right now, it's one, target of the green fish, but it could be a green bird, a green fish, or a red this, a yellow that. So there's going to be increasing challenges as the weeks go on. The navigation gets more complicated. And as you build these stars, you get moved into harder and more difficult challenges.
How good is the brain at multitasking, seriously, as I'm playing this game?
We're not very good at it, which is why we thought that training it would be a way to push the brain in something that it's just inherently not very good at. I actually just had a book that came out last week called The Distracted Mind, where I discussed the challenges of multitasking in the real world. And this game is not to teach you how to text and drive. That's not the goal here. Disclaimer, right? That's not what we're trying to do. It's not even necessarily trying to teach you how to multitask better. It's trying to push your brain in a domain that it's generally challenged in, because we have shown that this leads to benefit outside of the gameplay. So 2 stars now.
2 stars, that's good, right?
Yeah, you're good.
If you talk about
neurosurgeon type of skill.
If you talk about memory overall, and I'm talking to you too.
Yeah, this is triple tasking now.
Right.
It's pretty impressive.
I
can't talk when I play it, so.
I'm screwing up now as I'm talking to you.
You're in star zone, so if you keep going, you might nail that. Yep, there's 3. Now, you could see how much faster it is right now. Now you see snow coming down, so it's constantly pushing him.
When you talk about trying to decrease the risk of one developing Alzheimer's, there was a study that came out that talked about memory, that
the hazards of multitasking,
reasoning.
Right? You're driving a car
You're seeing it real time.
Yeah, you can see it.
Focusing on memory training, focusing on reasoning training, focusing on speed processing training. If those 3 broad categories, is there one that's most important?
Most of what we do put pressure on is the speed of responding. We think that that is an area that we have great adaptive abilities to really push you. This is very much a speed game, but we have meditation-inspired video games that are slower. We have physical fitness games. Okay.
We out of time?
Yeah, we're going to move over.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
All right.
It's pretty engaging. You talk a lot about this idea of adapting.
Yes.
I'm playing a game, but the game was changing in response to how I was playing.
Yes.
But you take it even a step further than that.
And we're going to show you a demo of that. We have a very short time. We're actually trying to squeeze 2 demos in 10 minutes, but here we go. So we have this demo right here. So this is technology from our group called the glass brain. This is actually my brain, the structure of my brain. It could be Sanjay's brain. So let's say he's been down to our lab before. We scan his brain on a 3T scanner, and you're looking at it here now. We could strip off the skin. This is why we call it the glass brain. And what we can do is, I'm going to show you some of this and bring on some activity across different domains. All right, so what we're showing you here is the activity in my brain while I was playing a game. Now, this is obviously pre-recorded, but if Sanjay was wearing an EEG cap now, and this was the structure of his brain, we could pull this up. You could see that up there, and with a joystick, just fly inside his brain in real time. We do this all the time in the lab. So now what we would be looking at, and this is both an MRI image in static, that's the golden fibers that connect the different brain areas and the surface of the brain, but those colored lights are the different frequency patterns generated by electrical activity in real time with a mobile EEG cap. And so we could think about an interesting future where we use this type of technology to do real-time diagnostics. So we're watching you watching you challenge. We have a virtual reality version of this, so you could put on a VR cap. I could have a VR cap on. I could be flying through your brain while you're in your virtual world, pushing on different knobs to challenge you and see how your brain responds. But where we're pushing and our efforts are at the moment is to use this real-time brain data to guide the game challenge and adaptivity. So the game would not just be responding to how fast or accurate you are, it would actually be responding for how your brain is processing information. So if it sees a deficit, for example, in your visual processing stream, it would reward you as you engage better visually and give you a greater challenge and push you in that domain. Someone else playing the same game could be challenged differently depending on what's going on in that brain.
It is amazing because you talk about the idea of chemicals, drugs, being sort of a shotgun approach, but digital medicine perhaps offering a much more personalized approach as well. We're going to leave it on that image for the people who are watching on their computers. Adam, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Warm round of applause for Dr. Ghazali.